It is 2 minutes after the hour. I am Jimmy Lentz from the XchangeCore team, and we're going to get started now. I'd like to welcome everybody, and if we go on to the next slide, welcome everybody and tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. We've got a very special presentation. Over the last couple of weeks, our sessions, we have been talking about essential elements of information. The XchangeCore community, particularly driven by some of the work being done in California to get ready for National Level Exercise 2015, have been driving at a very tactical level. What do we want to say, and what are the phrases that we want to use inside of XchangeCore so that someone can be, on one hand, and we've seen this in our past presentations, somebody can call something a traffic control point, somebody else can call it an access control point. There's a common phrase inside of XchangeCore so that anybody can use their own language on their own side, their own application, rather than having to settle on a common phraseology that every single one wants to use, because we're a community of very, very different disciplines. So XchangeCore is focused most recently at that very tactical level, but sitting above that are structures. And in our couple of presentations in the past, you saw some of the structuring that was done by the Homeland Security Geospatial ConOps, some of the structuring that was done by ESF5, published by FEMA in the Information and Planning section, to try and get a broad overview of this and then drive it down to very specific activities. So National Information Sharing Consortium has been looking at a similar problem, or the same problem, and that's what we're going to hear about today. And at the conclusion of this, we'll then be able to see how the two mesh together. They have a construct at the top and push down to, particularly on the geospatial side, to some of the technical level. We want to see where our technical details begin to mesh together, because the role of XchangeCore isn't to create essential elements of information. We're doing this as part of the community. And we've always looked at everybody else creating standards and embracing those. So if this is an evolving standard, we'll be more than happy to merge our interests in with the NIST and work together with them in perhaps conducting a second level of testing during National Level Exercise 15. So I can remind everybody to put your phones on mute so we don't catch the background noise like that, whoever that is. Please put your phones on mute. And let me now introduce Gregor Pashier and Ray Neal, who will be of the National Information Sharing Consortium, who will be talking about how to proceed with looking at the essential elements of information, the models that they've used, the test drives last year in NLE 14, and that guidance overview that was just published. So, Gregor, it is all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. As Jim mentioned, my name is Gregor Pashier. Actually, before I get started, let me switch slides real quick. All right. Can you see that, Jim?
You're good.
All right, good. So as Jim mentioned, my name is Gregor Pashier. I work for G&H International Services, and I provide staff support to the National Information Sharing Consortium. And on the line with me is also Ray Neal, who provides technical staff support to the National Information Sharing Consortium as well. So I'm here to discuss the work that the NIST has done related to developing and refining EEI templates that are documented in the EEI publication guidance that was just published in March. And then I'd also like to show you today how these templates are available for download through the NIST member portal. But before I get into that, I'd like to explain a little bit more about what the National Information Sharing Consortium is. So the NIST is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that's devoted to improving information sharing at all levels of government and for all public safety and emergency management stakeholders. We have 89 members that span multiple disciplines related to public safety, emergency management, and homeland security from the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. And the idea behind the NIST is that we bring together all the relevant stakeholders in the public safety field and emergency management field to help us identify and address critical information sharing issues that the community faces, and then figure out how we can help to solve them. And so we're always looking for new members to join our organization, and if you're interested, I'll talk about how to join more at the end of this presentation. So the NIST vision is that there's going to be common shared situational awareness capabilities that exist across geopolitical boundaries. We want to have information that will be found, discovered, and shared effortlessly to enhance decision-making across all levels of government and among stakeholders. And the policies, tools, and initiatives developed and or supported by the NIST will improve the resilience of all of NIST stakeholders. And as Jim mentioned, one of the projects that we've been working on over the past few months is to document EEI templates and make them available to enhance information sharing. So EEI essential elements of information, these are collections of predefined operational information requirements that assist in organizing data into a hierarchical system to enable information sharing at the local, state, and federal level. And basically, if everyone is speaking the same language, has the same EEIs, has similar suggested attributes, and as Jim mentioned, the same naming, we can all have a shared situational awareness and be able to share information better with each other. So what the NIST has done is we've taken we've taken the 18 EEIs that were field tested during the June 2014 capstone exercise and refined the templates to identify the strategic and tactical level data attributes to each EEI, and also identify the related ESF, data owners and sources, and final map products. And so when I talk about strategic EEI attributes, those are the attributes that are required for the purposes of shared situational awareness, monitoring, and coordination support at the regional or at the national level. And tactical EEI attributes are those that are required for the purposes of the local resource owner or the first responder to get the job done. So on this slide, for example, we have a EEI template for airport status. The strategic attributes for airport status would involve the state name, the location, the status of whether it's open or closed, and then the tactical level attributes would include things like fuel availability, security, maintenance, staffing and hours of operation. Those specific tactical data attributes that the first responder would need in order to resolve a specific issue with this airport, or perhaps use this airport as a support mechanism for mutual aid, for example. So in the EEI publication guidance, which is available on our website, niscconsortium.org, most of the data attributes that we have in our standard operating procedure templates are strategic attributes. And we're continuing to work on defining EEIs, and we're going to be adding more tactical attributes to these templates as our work continues. One important partner that the NIST is working with to do this is the Incident Management Information Sharing Subcommittee. The IMISC is a subcommittee of the White House Program Manager for the Information Sharing Environment, and the IMISC is co-chaired by the NIST Chair and the Deputy Undersecretary of Science and Technology at DHS. The overall goal of the IMISC is to focus on ways to standardize nationwide incident management information sharing capabilities across the first responder, homeland security, and emergency management communities. So currently, the NISC and the IMISC are defining tactical level EEI templates for up to 30 priority EEIs. These EEIs will be prioritized based on research that the IMISC team is pulling together from multiple AARs, previous DHS Virtually USA pilots, and are going to be validated by local, state, and federal organizations. So this effort is being coordinated with the FEMA National Integration Center. which has a seat at the IMISC and is looking for ways to build upon the NIST's EEI guidance to inform their situational awareness guidance document that will be published as part of NIMS. So this is a really exciting development that the IMISC is working on and the NIST is playing a part, and we are, again, working in parallel with the IMISC to develop and further enhance some of the tactical attributes. So the National Information Sharing Consortium published their Essential Elements of Information Publication Guidance in March 2015. And the guidance includes a model process that a community can use to define their EEIs. It also includes a model operating procedure templates for each EEI. And in this instance, they are organized according to 3 categories: transportation, infrastructure, and operations. And then, while this is version 1, we're going to have multiple versions after this that will incorporate companion tactical attributes that come out of the work that the NIST is doing with the IMISC. So in the EEI guidance document, the document's focused on providing definitions for various roles, including operators, technical staff, and planners. And the slide that you see here, this is EEI definitions for the operator, providing the list of main EEIs, and then a general description. We have EEI definitions for the GIS administrator, and this is information that will allow GIS personnel to configure their systems in support of operational requirements. So we have the category, we have the EEI, the feature type, suggested attributes, the ESF related to, and then also a color coding mechanism that indicates the status, whether it's status red would be closed, status yellow, there's some disruption, status green, everything's open, and then status gray, which indicates that that's an unknown, we don't know what the status is of that particular element. So I hear someone, if someone could mute their phone, I'm hearing a little bit of background. All right, excellent. All right, so in addition, for each EEI, there's also standard operating procedure templates that identify the related ESF for that particular EEI, who would own the data, and then primary attributes and primary layers, as well as the final deliverable. And in addition, for each EEI SOP template, at the bottom, you'll see here that there's a link that connects you to the NIST member portal. And this is where, if you click on this link, it will bring you to the portal where you can test drive the EEI in ArcGIS Online, as well as download a map package for that related EEI to deploy in your own operational environment. All right, so I'd like to quickly talk about what the NIST member portal is. So the portal is a members-only portal that provides you with a variety of different tools and resources. You have here the NIST Virtual USA content link, and that's where you can share data and apps that are found in the NIST Virtual USA Common Library and displayed through Esri's Gallery. We have a NIST member directory. This provides the contact information for all member organizations in the NIST. And we have a link for test driving templates and apps. And this is where you can test operational and technical templates, social media templates, and more. The NIST resource library is where you can share content with other members and also access resources shared by members and the NIST. The NIST Virtual USA information products. This shows information resources that were developed from previous Virtual USA projects. Then the NIST Situation Room is where NIST content is configured through a third-party app, in this case, the VISE Situation Room. So to get access to these resources, you have to be a NIST member. And I just want to reiterate, NIST membership is free for the public safety community and nonprofits, and it's available to the private sector for a nominal fee. And so 2 areas that I want to highlight are the Esri galleries, and then the test drive links. So let me go into, all right, so here we are in the NIST member portal. I'm going to click on the NIST Virtual USA content. And here you have the galleries in ArcGIS Online. And this is where you can view data and apps found in the NIST's Virtual USA Common Library group. And there's two components to this gallery, the Virtual USA Common Library and the Misc Services Library. So the Virtual USA Common Library, that contains applications and data such as the CAUSE 3 story map and NIST 511 transportation data. So for example, click on the CAUSE 3 story map. This is an Esri product that allows you to provide interactive description of a particular event, or in this case, it's the Canada-US Enhanced Resiliency Experiment that happened back in November of 2014. And it's an interactive map that as you scroll through it, it allows you to, the map next to it changes depending on the information that's displayed here on the left. So this was used during the CAUSE exercise as a way to bring together all the participants, clearly identify what what the exercise is and the types of exercises that they would be doing through this experiment. Then the NISC Services. NIST Services is where there's 511 transportation data that is included for a number of different states east of the Mississippi. Basically what we did is we pulled together publicly available transportation information from various state websites and then put them together into a web map so that they can be viewed in ArcGIS Online. And for example, this is a 511 service for the state of Indiana. What the gallery does is it provides a thumbnail view of the content that is found in the NIST's ArcGIS Online account. Okay. All right. And again, the NIST ArcGIS Online account, that is available for NIST members to join. If you already have existing AGOL credentials, you could use your organization's existing AGOL credentials, and if you're a NIST member, you can be invited into the NIST's Virtual USA Library group. All right, so I'd like to go over the test drive templates and apps link, and this is what I talked to you earlier about the specific EEI test drives that you can use in the NIST member portal and deploy and download in your own operational environment. So let's select an EEI test drive. In this instance, let's look at the electricity grid. Once you open the test drive page, it gives you a description right here of the EEI, the availability status, so whether it's available, limited availability, no availability, unknown, and the color coding that goes with those specific availability statuses. And then below that, you have links to test drive editing in ArcGIS Online. You can also click on a link to download a map package, or you can click on test drive in ArcGIS Online Operations Dashboard. So when we click on test drive editing in ArcGIS Online, it'll pull up. First of all, there's a pop-up that you have to accept that basically says that this application is for demonstration purposes only. The information that you see here is not live data, but it's just for your use to try out and see if it would work for you. Agree to that. And then here you see a number of counties with various different colors showing their status of the electricity grid. If you click on a county, you'll see the attributes, and these are the same attributes that are found in the SOP templates in the EEI guidance. You have the opportunity to also edit some of these attributes. you click here on the left side to do editing, click on the county, and then you could change the status. So for example, this says no availability for this county, and we can change it to limited availability. You can also add comments, the provider name, additional information about people without power, the total customers, and then the percentage percentage of power outages that exist. So close that, and basically that gives you an idea of using this EEI template. When you deploy this into your native environment, this is what you could possibly do with it. Also in the test drive pages is test driving in ArcGIS Online Operations Dashboard. So if you click on this, this should pull up the Esri's Operations Dashboard product, and basically what this is a mashup of all the counties in the United States, the varying status updates for each of these different counties. So in this instance, you have 11 counties with no availability of electricity, 14 counties with limited availability, and 1 county with unknown. The edits that you make in the electricity status test drive page will then get directly changed in the operations dashboard page. So let me show you how to do that. When you click here on this county, so change from no availability to limited availability, then you go back to the operations dashboard. Notice that it says 11, 14, and 1. When you do a refresh, you have it changed from no availability to limited availability. Basically what this is meant to demonstrate is a workflow that you can use potentially in your operational environment to not only change the status of a specific EEI, but then also to then demonstrate how you can use that change in the operations dashboard. So going back to the test drive page, there's also a link here where you can download the map package. Click on that, and this allows you to save the file, and you can upload it in your operational environment. One thing to note, that these EEI data models that we have, they don't provide the only model, but they represent a model that's been tested through Capstone 14. It's gained traction in communities, and what we're looking to do here is really to jumpstart communities' ability to employ this information within their own operational environment. So once you download this, you have the option of doing some edits to the attributes if that's what you see fit. All right, so going back to, I want to show one more thing in the test drive templates and apps. You can also test drive social media tools, and in this instance, I want to show you an example of Esri's GeoForm. So during the Canada-US Enhanced Resiliency experiment that happened, or CAUSE-3 that happened back in November, the virtual operations support teams used this GeoForm to input social media data that was generated through Chatter, which is basically something similar to Twitter, but it wasn't actually live data. It was pre-populated data, and then the boss used that Chatter information and filtered it, and then inputted this information through the GeoForm, which would then display on a web map that would be available for all the participants in the cause exercise to see. So, for example, they would specify what type of issue was being used, so electricity and power, evacuation, transportation or fuel, sheltering, debris removal, health and medical, so they'd identify a specific issue, the reporting entity. Every person had the report an ID and the name, the location, where the information came from. In this case, it's from Chatter. The threat type, is it life and limb, material, animal, other? The hazard type, a number of different hazard types, follow-up required, severity of damage, the report type. So there's a lot of different fields that the VOS members could input a lot of this information in. And then how it displays on the map, when you click on this icon right here, you get basically the data model, the attributes that were included in the field in the form appear here on this map, and you have a complete picture of that submission. So this geoform is also available like the EEI templates for download. Simply click on this link here. You could download this data model and use it for your own community's purposes as you see fit. All right, and then finally, I'd like to show one more thing here in the member portal, the NIST Resource Library. So this is where NIST members can share documents, code, webinars, webinar links, as well as templates. And when a NIST member adds a resource, they have the opportunity to make the information available only to NIST members, or to make the information available to the general public, just by selecting this checkbox here. I just wanted to show you some of the code that's available. So if we do it, type in VUSA. Here are some example code that we have in the resource library. The Virtual USA ArcGIS Online portal widget, which is a third-party app that can search across portals in ArcGIS Online, portals that include FEMA and federal DOI GeoPlatform. And this specific Online Flex widget, as well as there's a JavaScript version for this as well. These were tested during the Capstone 14 and used during the Capstone 14 exercise. You can see a demonstration of that widget in the NIST Situation Room, and I'll briefly go over this as well. So in the NIST Situation Room, it's already pre-populated with 511 data. If you click on that, it gives you basically the general information about the NIST 511 data. And again, this is information that's being pulled from the NIST ArcGIS Online Virtual USA Common Library. And if you are interested in adding additional layers using the widget, you click on this link, Add from ArcGIS Online, go to all your groups, and basically what the widget allows is all the groups that you have access to, it'll allow you to search. It's not quite working for me. Allow you to select from a number of different groups that you have access to, and then so let's select the Virtual USA Common Library, South Carolina 511 data. Let's add camera information. Go back to the map, and then here you have an additional data layer showing camera information, the link of where that information came from, the summary, where that, what is that camera actually looking at, the source of that information. So again, this is all data that's available within the NIST ArcGIS Online account. So that's kind of a really quick overview of the member portal, some of the services and tools that we have in here. And essentially that's the end of my presentation. So in conclusion, if you have any more, if you want more information, or if you're interested in joining NIST, I'd invite you to check out our website at nistconsortium.org. We have a member application. Again, it's free for public safety community, public safety organizations, government organizations, and nonprofit organizations, and then private sector, they pay a nominal fee. And if you want any more information, you can email at info@niscconsortium.org. So I hope you found this information useful, and I guess I'll hand it over to Jim.
Gregor, thanks very much. Excellent presentation. Gave us some good insight not only into the EEIs, but some of the other capabilities of the NIST. Let me open it up for questions. Anybody with anything for Gregor?
Hello,
Gregor,
Go ahead.
Gregor, this is Phil Balin out in California, and we've been watching really closely your Capstone 2014 way of aggregating data, and we started to do it on a local level into our Citizen Emergency Response Team, so imagine 8 little areas within a city. But one of the challenges is the criteria that we use for the categories of damage that you have for the different EEIs. Do you have some verbiage on exactly how to distinguish between your major and your minor so that we can all be coding things in a similar way?
Sure. Here is a screenshot of the EEI definitions for the GIS administrator, and it shows the different status elements. There's It is up to some interpretation as to what would be considered a minor or a major delay or closure, and so what we recognize that, and I think during the Capstone 14 exercise there was some recognition of that people's interpretations of what a yellow or a red or a green meant varied, and so what I can do is the EEI publication guidance might have some clarity on that, and you could download that on our website. But I think that, we recognize that, and I think that there's still work to be done. We don't have exact documentation on specific elements to each status category, but we do recognize that that's an issue. So Ray, if you're on the line, do you know of any information that would be useful?
That's something I'd want to take away offline and take a closer look at. I don't have anything specifically to point at. It's a great question.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I have a question about facilities. This is David Cogswell with the Golden Gate Safety Network, and we're quite active with agencies to document specifically schools and hospitals with pre-incident plans in order to coordinate emergency response, but also to report status to situation awareness and so forth. Is there an EEI definition of some sort that would apply to a given facility so that you could establish what, first of all, reference information about that facility that could assist responders, but also something that you could use to report status of that facility?
So we do, in our EEI test drive templates, we break facilities up into specific ones. So I only showed you the electricity grid, but we also have availability of area command. We have hospitals, JRSO sites. These are National Guard command center sites, shelters, as well as staging areas. So yeah, there are a number of EEIs that might be useful for you to look at. And again, as I mentioned earlier, these were only the 18 that were looked at during the Capstone 14 exercise, but we're always looking for adding more and figuring out which ones would be a high priority to include in this. I hope that helps a little bit. Are there specific, so you're looking more for schools, and I don't think we have schools, but for those schools that function as shelters, that information is available.
Right. We're just concerned with a general purpose mechanism for reporting the status of individual facilities, and especially if they're the subject of a major incident. And
Okay. I think that so let's open shelters. When you do a test drive in this, you do have the ability to edit and to provide. I guess this isn't. The edit function isn't working as I intentioned, but essentially you should be able to edit, like click on that individual shelter and then edit the condition of that, and then make that available on a web map so that all participants would be able to see it.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else with questions?
I do.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is John Eubank. I'm out in California. I'm looking at the opportunity to communicate this information to the public within that area of need. Let's just say whatever, as you were mentioning before, the shelters. What's the availability of those shelters at that particular time, or whether it be a hospital? Do you also incorporate into that evacuation routes?
In terms of for the shelter?
Well, no, not so much for the shelter. Yeah, but the three primary areas that we're looking at right now would be in the hospital, shelter, and evacuation routes. And then to be able to communicate, those to the public within that geocoded area, but also to be able to push that to their wireless device and then embed it. So in the event that there is a disruption in service in both the cell phone towers as well as the radio broadcast FM frequency, that they would still have the ability to have the most recent information up until the point where the service went out.
Okay, gotcha. So there is an EEI for evacuation orders. I don't think we have one for evacuation routes. Ray, would you be able to provide a little bit more information on that? And also in terms of, is there a way that you're familiar with in your work that you could push out public information?
Yeah, there's a couple of different layers to what we're talking about there, and it's the evacuation routes, I think, is something that's a little beyond what we tried to do for this first round of what we were looking at for the member portal, but it's certainly something that we have worked with and that we've talked about putting. Making it offline available is something that I think a lot of people are asking for, and it's a little maybe beyond what we've traditionally been talking about for our EEI guidance here, but maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe that should somehow be incorporated into what we're doing here. We haven't been talking about that, but it's certainly something to look at.
Yeah, no, everything that you've shown me, which this is my first exposure to this, and it aligns ideally, especially with the distribution network that we're looking at, being able to push this out by having it on all wireless devices. And I would love to talk more with you with regards to how that can take place, and how basically we have the patent for embedding critical content into the memory of the phone, so that in the event of a disruption, if it resides in the memory of the phone, that becomes our IP, and we want to make that available to everybody. And I believe that your organization may be the perfect information service system to work with, obviously, your relationships with government, as well as with the multitude of different first responders.
Yeah, I'd be interested in talking some more about this as well. I went to the Esri Developer Summit a couple of weeks ago, and they specifically addressed this need. They specifically addressed some different mechanisms to get this sort of information out into people's devices for exactly the situation you're talking about, where maybe they go into a blacked out area where they don't have communications and having that available. And it was an interesting thing to see that they're, putting in place some nice infrastructure to do that. So yeah, this is probably a conversation we should keep moving with.
Yeah, I don't know if you have. I will let me. My email is very simple. It's just John JOHN, and it's lifesavingadvice.com.
Lifesavingadvice.com. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, John. We'll be in touch.
Great. You've done some great work here. I'm extremely impressed.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
All right. Anything else? Well, let me wrap it up by thanking Gregor. Really appreciate that very much. And to draw this together with the last couple of sessions we've had and with our next one, Gregor mentioned that their next steps are to move into the tactical level. That's where we have been for the last couple of months as we've been working on this. I think there's some real opportunities to coordinate, and our next session, we're going to be focusing in on the EEIs being developed by the California Earthquake Clearinghouse and a number of California agencies at that very tactical level, where it answers some of the questions that people have had about, how I'm really exchanging this information, because on the XchangeCore community, our role is to deal with many different diverse applications so that each of them can use their own terminology and have a common sharing, interoperable sharing of these EEIs, rather than everybody on the outside applications having to adopt the specific words that everybody else is using. So a slightly different variation in the implementation of the EEIs, but both with the same goal of that you've heard here from the NIST. So I think we've got some very good opportunities to bring the NIST into our conversation and to join theirs. So I'll look forward to continuing that on our next call 2 weeks from now, and want to wish everybody an excellent couple of weeks. Thanks again to the NIST team, and for a good couple of weeks. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, everybody.